Is a home garden like this one bad for the planet? Well, that seems to be the headline from a new University of Michigan study that says the food that's grown in urban spaces like this has 6 times the carbon footprint of food that may be grown in conventional agriculture. So, urban agriculture includes home gardens like this, urban farms, and also community gardens. Whereas conventional agriculture is what we're really used to. So that would be your usually rural, large scale type farming. And when we grow in our backyards, at least for me, there's always been an assumption that this must be better for the planet. I'm not driving to the store to get it. It's right there. I'm using space that already exists, but that may not be the case. The study found that there are 3 main drivers for why our urban agriculture, like my backyard, may have a much higher carbon footprint than we thought. The first is infrastructure. So, if you look at what we've constructed here, it is a little excessive and it's not the kind of thing that you would see in a urban farm. You won't have your big arbors and your small raised beds and things like that. And if I were to replace these things every 3 to 5 years, or sometimes even more frequently in some backyards, then that would be a huge carbon driver. But if I use these same beds, maybe in a different location, but the same infrastructure for the next 20 to 30 years, then my carbon footprint will drastically reduce. And that's the way that conventional agriculture really works. They're using the same equipment and the same fields for decades. The second big driver of carbon footprints in backyard farming or urban farms is the kind of plants that we're growing. And that means that there are certain plants that may have a carbon benefit compared to conventional agriculture if we choose to grow them. So, asparagus, for example, is a kind of crop that costs a lot to store and to transport if we're getting it from a conventional grower. But if we grow it in our backyard, then we can actually do a lot of carbon savings, the kind of carbon savings that we feel like we might be doing with everything. But we're not doing it so much with, let's say, carrots. So in general, things that cost more to store and to transport and tend to be pricier in the store, like berries, for example, are going to be a little bit better for the environment if we grow them ourselves. And the third driver for our carbon footprints in our backyards is the input of the things that we're growing. So if I am growing a tomato in my backyard, but I'm getting the fertilizer and the soil from outside, I'm driving to the store for those, I'm using piped in water to water my tomato, then it's not truly local, is it? So if we can use compost and, for example, rain barrel water to feed our plants, then we're going to reduce our carbon footprint that way as well. There are other climate benefits to gardening besides what you get out of it and the carbon cost of the food that you could have bought from the store as well. Studies show that when we grow more veggies, we tend to eat more veggies and therefore eat a little less meat and dairy that we might have as a higher proportion of our diet otherwise. And veggies have a lower carbon cost than meat and dairy. So there's some carbon savings there. Another big thing is that when we spend time outside, we tend to be more willing to protect the environment and to reduce our carbon footprint in other ways. For example, maybe active transportation instead of using a vehicle. Studies also show that when we spend more time outside, we are healthier. We have better physical and mental health. And because the healthcare system is a huge greenhouse gas driver, 5% of annual greenhouse gas emissions in Canada, if we can be healthier just by being outside, we're going to reduce our carbon costs that way as well. So lots of climate benefits to gardening, but still, 6 times on average higher carbon cost for the food that we grow in our backyards like this. Is it worth it, or should we really just be leaving food growing to conventional farmers? Well, that is not the way I read it. The point of this study. It's not that we shouldn't be growing food in urban spaces. It's that we should be really mindful of the way that we're doing it. We need to research this more, and we need to optimize the way that we do it to reduce our carbon footprint. Because they did find that some urban spaces are having better carbon costs, better carbon efficiency than some of the conventional growers. So there's always room for optimization. There's in all spheres opportunities to improve our carbon efficiency and lower our carbon footprint. So, if we're mindful of the kinds of things that we're growing, the way that we're growing, the equipment we're using, how long the lifespan of that equipment is, and we're trying to do things like make our own compost and use rain barrel water, then we're going to have lower carbon cost food in our backyards. We have to keep researching this and keep improving so that we can improve our planetary health. And however your garden grows, keep growing as a gardener. Woo!
You okay?
Yeah.